Hello and welcome back to another mock draft. This week we're doing a one-round mock with rounds 2 and 3 as a Patreon exclusive, so make sure to subscribe there if you want to see the rest of the picks. It's important to mention that this will be a no trades mock, and this will be what I would do at each pick, not what I think will happen. Without further ado, let's get started. With the first pick, the Bears select Jalen Carter. Everyone knows how important the 3-tech is in an Eberflus defense, and this pick just makes too much sense not to make it. There are rumors that the Bears don't want to trade back further than 4, and I bet this guy is the reason why. He can single-handedly transform a defense and should be a monster with Chicago. With the second pick, the Texans select Bryce Young. Young is by far the best QB prospect in this year's class and gives the Texans another QB to build around. Davis Mills is a mediocre QB and not someone that projects as a long-term starter at the position. In real life, it's almost assured the Texans will grab a QB at 2 or 1 if they want to trade up and get their guy. With the third pick, the Cardinals select Will Anderson. Anderson is the best edge prospect I've seen and is the perfect fit for the Cardinals, who are looking to fill a pass rushing hole after Chandler Jones, Hassan Reddick, and J.J. Watt are no longer with the team. Anderson can inject some much needed talent in this position and should be an impact starter day 1. With the fourth pick, the Colts select C.J. Stroud. Before the season started, it was a race between Young and Stroud to be QB1, and although Young won by a good margin in my eyes, Stroud is a very good consolation prize. There's always going to be worries about Ohio State quarterbacks, but Stroud has enough arm talent to put those worries to rest. With the fifth pick, the Seahawks select Tyree Wilson. This pick will come down to testing and measurables, and I think Wilson will come in a little better than Myles Murphy. Wilson has amazing disruptor abilities and can be somebody that they can develop alongside their excellent 2022 draft class. With the sixth pick, the Lions select Christian Gonzalez. The board is always going to fall awkwardly for the Lions in this spot, and I think in the real draft they are prime candidates to trade back. But since this is a no-trades mock, the Lions pick here and reach a bit for need with Gonzalez. I have faith in Goff and don't think the Lions need another edge rusher. What they do need is defensive back help, and Gonzalez can provide that in spades. With the seventh pick, the Raiders select Will Levis. The Raiders have all but come out and said that Carr will no longer be on the team next year, as both parties will part ways. Levis is a developmental prospect that McDaniels can work with as the team tries to figure out what the future holds, whether they rebuild, retool, or go all in. With the eighth pick, the Falcons select Myles Murphy. Atlanta's edge rushers are some of the worst in the league, and they take a potential top 5 talent here with Murphy. I'm a tiny bit lower on Murphy than the consensus, but he's still a very talented player who will slot in as a starter day 1. With the ninth pick, the Panthers select Anthony Richardson. Carolina has tried out-of-house options for QBs for the past couple seasons to no avail, and after consistently passing up on potential franchise QB, they will finally take one here. Richardson is all upside, and landing the correct coaching staff is imperative to his development. With the 10th pick, the Eagles select Joey Porter Jr. At the end of the season, the Eagles will have a ton of pending free agents on the defensive side, so this will all depend on who they will bring back. This pick could easily be edge rusher, linebacker, or corner. I decided to go corner, as I feel is the most realistic pick outcome with who the Eagles will bring back, and Porter fits the Eagles scheme well. With the 11th pick, the Titans select Paris Johnson Jr. This pick is kind of a no-brainer. The Titans desperately need offensive tackle help with the one all but certain to be cut, and their woes at starting Dennis Daly at left tackle. Johnson can step in and hopefully provide stability to a line that has not had some in a very long time. With the 12th pick, the Texans select Quentin Johnston. With John Mechie looking to make his return next season and Brandon Cooks as a veteran presence, adding Johnston here gives the Texans a great offense for new QB Bryce Young to step into. With the 13th pick, the Jets select Peter Skoronski. The Jets have several question marks on their offensive line heading into the offseason, and Skoronski provides the versatility to play a guard or tackle similar to Tyler Smith from last year. With the 14th pick, the Patriots select Broderick Jones. The run on offensive tackles continues, and New England should be thrilled to grab Jones here. With a scheme change, Isaiah Wynn has looked like a disaster and is a pending free agent. The Patriots grab his replacement here and a long-term option behind Trent Brown. With the 15th pick, the Packers select Jordan Addison. Alan Lazard doesn't seem too intent to return to Green Bay, and besides Christian Watson, the room is very bare. Addison comes in polished and projects to be a producer right away as Green Bay tries to squeeze one last run out of Rodgers. With the 16th pick, the Commanders select Bijan Robinson. Washington has a lot of other needs that they could address here, but getting a player as good as Bijan this late in the draft doesn't come around that often. Bijan will instantly inject some playmaking ability into the Commanders' backfield that has sorely lacked it in recent years. With the 17th pick, the Steelers select Cam Smith. The Steelers' cornerback group isn't bad, but lacks that one true shutdown guy. Smith has the potential to match up against number 1 receivers with his aggressive mindset and ball skills. With the 18th pick, the Lions select Drew Sanders. Malcolm Rodriguez was a nice fine lay in the draft, but Alex Anzalone is not a long-term starter at linebacker. Sanders, with his huge frame and pass rushing skills, will be utilized quite nicely in the Detroit defense. With the 19th pick, the Buccaneers select O'Cyrus Torrence. The glaring weakness of the Tampa Bay offense last year was at the left guard position, with Luke Goedeke looking awful as a starter. Torrence can help revitalize the line to protect Brady and bring back the offense to its former glory. With the 20th pick, the Seahawks select Brian Bresee. I'm lower on Bresee than most. I like his talent, but his rawness and lack of positional value slides him down to 20. The Seahawks have always taken upside gambles on these types of players, and pairing him along with Tyree Wilson could completely transform their defense. With the 21st pick, the Chargers select Michael Mayer. The Chargers' offense was downright painful to watch during periods, and Everett had a strong start but faded during the end of the year. With a new offensive coordinator heading into LA, Mayer can be a reliable target for QB Justin Herbert. With the 22nd pick, the Ravens select Kelee Ringo. Marcus Peters is heading into free agency and is approaching the age where corners fall off a cliff, especially with his playstyle. Ringo is the perfect match for the Ravens scheme and can step into the big shoes left by Peters with his athleticism and man skills. With the 23rd pick, the Vikings select Jackson Smith and Jigba. Adam Thielen's age and injuries are finally catching up to him, and he would operate much better out of a wide receiver 3 role matched up against worse corners. JSN might not have the top end talent to be a true number 1 in the league, but his excellent route running and release package will make it hell for defenses to stop him and Justin Jefferson, along with the rest of the Vikings offense. With the 24th pick, the Jaguars select Brian Branch. I've had this pick slotted for a while. It's rare you get such a perfect fit this late into the first. Branch's versatility and athleticism will allow him to play all over for the Jags and plug holes where needed. With the 25th pick, the Giants select Trenton Simpson. Anyone who watched the divisional round game against the Eagles saw how the Giants linebackers were constantly picked apart in space and exposed in the run game. Simpson is a do-it-all linebacker safety hybrid who can offer value and coverage and in the run game while also being a chess piece for defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. With the 26th pick, the Cowboys select Devin Witherspoon. Dan Quinn has been making magic happen with the bargain bin free agent and draft picks Dallas has been making, but with him almost a lock to leave for another head coaching job, the Cowboys are going to need some talent across Trayvon Diggs. Witherspoon is another physical corner who will fit well with the Cowboys' aggressive defensive scheme. With the 27th pick, the Bills select Antonio Johnson. This is a luxury pick, but with the aging safety duo of Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde and the questionable depth behind them, the Bills will need to start addressing this position sooner rather than later. Johnson can slot into either safety role for the Bills and continue the strength of their back end without missing a step. With the 28th pick, the Bengals select Darnell Washington. Hayden Hurst has performed fine as a tight end 1 for the Bengals, but he's a pending free agent, and the Bengals can find their long-term answer to the position right here. Washington is a nasty blocker and a huge target at 6'7", with the potential to elevate the offense to even more ridiculous levels. With the 29th pick, the Broncos select Anton Harrison. Harrison is an unsexy pick here, but one that is desperately needed for Denver to protect Russell Wilson. Like it or not, they're locked into Wilson and have to help him as much as they can. With the 30th pick, the Chiefs select Jalen Hyatt. This is a pure speed fit, but if Hyatt can emulate even 60% of what Tyreek Hill brought to the table, the Chiefs can add an extra dimension to the transformed offense that they had once before. With the 31st and last pick in the first round, the Eagles select Nolan Smith. Philly had elite production for their edge rushers, but it's an aging group that relies heavily on rotation. Smith can seamlessly provide meaningful snaps from the edge spot while further developing his skills to eventually take over a starting role. And with that, the mock has concluded. Please let us know in the comments what you think of each pick and their fit with each team, and as always, this has been the 2-Minute Drill.